I want to talk for a few moments about the Samsung Galaxy A15 5G. The 5G being a somewhat important distinction that we'll talk about a little bit later on in the video. But right now, a link in the description does help the channel. Amazon's running like a limited time only sale, limited time deal, $170. Now, I find that hard to believe that a week or so, 10 days before Black Friday, Amazon's going to be running a sale that they're not going to run back when Black Friday hits. So I would assume that you could find, if you missed the sale, if it's not there tomorrow, whenever you're watching this video, I assume you'll be able to find the A15 for around $160, $170 when Black Friday comes around. Now, there's an important point to make here. The A16 5G has been released internationally. You could get the Latin American version on Amazon. That's going to run you $225. So for $55 less, you could get the A15. Of course, not official in the United States. So I wanted to focus the conversation on the Galaxy A15 because I do think it gets a bit of I do think it gets a bit of harsh treatment that it shouldn't. And every time I speak about one of these budget phones, like the A15, you always get the same pushback, right? You always get I could get a Poco phone with a Snapdragon 8 Elite and 74 gigabytes of RAM for $47. Yeah, okay. But that's not the phone we're buying grandma, right? That's not the phone I'd buy my mother if I could get her away from an iPhone. There are plenty of people who want a reliable experience, who want a friendly experience, who want a well-supported device for less than $500. The A15 does it. Now, this is not just for elderly people, okay? This is not just for non-enthusiasts. There are plenty of reasons why phone fans would want to pick up a device like this, especially if you like One UI. It's a great entry point for One UI because you're getting four major upgrades of One UI, 5 years of security updates. That's a lot at $170. There's a lot to like here. I mentioned the 5G part. That's because the 5G version gets the Dimensity 6100 Plus. Power-wise, it's relatively the same as the G99, the Helio G99 that the non-5G version gets. I've tested them both. The distinction I will make is that in testing devices with the 6100 Plus, I did notice slightly better gaming performance, and that's something that the MediaTek advertises. You get slightly better gaming performance on the 6100 Plus. So if listen, are you going to be playing Genshin Impact at 9 million frames? No. Are you going to be playing Call of Duty Mobile at high frames and high graphical settings? No. Balatro is going to run fine though, so you'll be all right. Pokemon Go runs well at 90 hertz. So stuff like that, you're going to get better frames, and it's an overall decent experience. But when you think about what you use these phones for and who they're for, there's a reason why, even with all those mid-range monsters out there that people want to talk about, from Xiaomi and Realme and Poco, all those phones that everybody wants to throw in my face every time that we talk about budget Samsung devices. Despite all of that, when you look at the top 10 smartphones sold in the entire world for a year, the A0 and A1 series always cracks the top 10. Is it because people are stupid? Is it because people don't know what they're getting? Is it because they can't see? And this is international, by the way. So you have these phones from other regions that people do see and are readily available to them. This phone still cracks the top 10 because what this offers is reliability, good updates, nice software, a nice enough build. The people who are buying a $170 phone are the people coming from a Galaxy J series device. There's somebody maybe upgrading from an A03 or A03, something like that. There are people who don't ask a lot of their smartphone. They want to keep in touch with their kids. They want to keep in touch with their grandkids. They want to see pictures on social media. They want to go on Instagram. They want to go on the X. I'll finally give in and start calling it X. They want to go on all these different, they want maybe WhatsApp they want to have on there. That's a big one. They want to be able to do translate. There's so many things that you could do on this device for $170, and you get the longevity of the software support, plus you get some creature comfort. Samsung, for all the criticism we have of Samsung and how boring they can be and how the designs just don't really cut it anymore and they all look the same, they did a really nice job with the A15 5G. You get a beautiful 1080p OLED display, 90 hertz refresh rates, really nice. The colors are good. It's something you don't typically see at this price point, especially from Samsung. This is a really nice, responsive display. It's good. Yeah, you got the teardrop or whatever. It might be a little long in the tooth design-wise, but overall, this is a really nice design. You get the plastic build, yes, that's fine, but overall, it's nice, it's durable. The color's got a little reflectiveness to it there, so it's an overall nice design. The cameras, believe it or not, are pretty good. Now, the other two sensors you're not going to want to mess with. I think it's like 5 megapixel and 2 megapixel, whatever. But the 50 megapixel main sensor is actually pretty good. Battery life is excellent. You're going to get all day battery life with this guy here. So there's lots of, when you start building those things up, you're going to get to that $170 worth of value pretty easily, especially when you consider that these are the types of phones that people get on carrier deals, that people buy unlocked for $170 and keep them forever. These are not phones that you're going to upgrade year over year. They're not phones that are typically picked up by enthusiasts who worry about such things. These are phones that are people who use the phone as a phone. They make phone calls, they text people, they WhatsApp people, they go on Facebook. Believe it or not, despite all this enthusiast bubble stuff and all the excitement that we can get wrapped up in with ray tracing and all this other stuff that we get excited about on these high-powered Snapdragon chips, 95% of what you're going to want to do on a smartphone can be done on this guy right here and be done pretty well. Now, is the 6100 Plus the fastest chip I've ever used? No. It still has slowdowns. There are still moments when you're scrolling that you're going to notice that there's a little hiccup in here. But there's a difference between lag and slowdowns, and it's an important distinction because lag is the one that I just recently reviewed the Onyx Books Go 6 or something like that. It's an e-reader for Android, please. And that thing was lagging. Lag is when I hit a button or I hit an icon and it takes 2 and 3 and 4 seconds for something to happen to the point where I think I did something wrong or perhaps I didn't hit the icon in the first place. That's lagging. Slowdowns are I'm scrolling, 90 hertz nice and smooth, maybe we dip down to 60. Gets a little slow. Needs to buffer for a minute. Needs to load back in. Stuff like that. So those aren't things that are mission critical to so many people who want to buy a smartphone, especially if they're saving several hundred, maybe upwards of $1,000 over some of the other devices they see in the store. So before you get on the case of the Samsung and the A15, you say, why would you buy an older flagship? Buy a Xiaomi device. Sure, if you're an enthusiast watching 75 YouTube videos, which I appreciate, by the way, go ahead and buy one of those. Have some fun. But if it's time to pick up a phone for grandpa, if it's time to pick up a phone for your father, and you don't want to spend $1,000 on an iPhone, and you don't want to get phone calls every 5 minutes on how to use it, this is something that you're going to want to get. If you like phones, to buy a phone and to use as a phone, this is one you're going to want to get because the software is good, because the hardware is good, because the chipset is acceptable and does everything you're going to want it to do, and because battery life is fantastic. And you're going to be able to take pictures of your pets in good lighting. You'll be fine with the 50 megapixel sensor on this phone. So, if you add all that up, if you take all that into consideration, $170 doesn't look that bad. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.